Okay, so we are live with Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hi, hello, how are you?
Uh, this is IH live session on the Delta for 2022, and we have Jane, a Cambridge CELTA and DELTA tutor and assessor, and she will help us today to learn all about the Delta course, the three modules, and to answer any of the questions you've got. So, Jane, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yeah, hi. Hello, everybody. I'm actually in London at the moment and it's really cold. Yes, so I've been a CELTA tutor for a long time, but I've been a Delta tutor since 2006. I've worked in many different countries and now I'm freelance and I've worked in lots of different places. I've been a Delta assessor since 2012. That's
Okay.
me.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to share a screen with some of the questions that we might be, expecting to hear from everyone. So if you could give me a second. Okay, so the first thing we're going to ask you, Jane, to tell us is what is the delta?
Great. So in terms of qualifications and qualification grading, the Delta is like a level 7 in the UK, and CELTA is a level 5, and it's the same. It's the equivalent of a master's. Okay, and when you get the Delta, you can actually go and you can apply for a master's in the same sort of area, and you would get some credits. It depends on the place that you go to and the course that you want, but the Delta does help you to get some credits for a master's as well. Okay, yeah, and it's the highest qualification that you can do in teaching English. Okay, so it is the highest one.
Okay. And why do some people go for the Delta? Why do some people seek the Delta certificate diploma?
Right. Well, so many different reasons. I think, say, the reason why I did it was because I had done the CELTA and I really realized after a couple of years I really wanted to improve my teaching skills. I wanted to extend my knowledge and I wanted basically to have better lessons. So I did it for my own professional benefit. Okay. And of course, you can learn such a lot and you can learn about different techniques and methodologies and different ways of approaching things. Also, people go, if you want to get into sort of senior management, this is the qualification that helps you get into senior management. Okay. Also, if you want to be a teacher trainer, this is the qualification you need to be a teacher trainer. So if you wanted to eventually teach on CELTA courses, for example, and also in terms of a manager, this is often what's needed for the course. And in British Council accredited schools in the UK, this is the Delta is the requirement to be a senior teacher or a manager. Yeah, so it's professional reasons, promotion reasons, training reasons, and as I said, for me, it was just like I really wanted to know how to do it better.
Okay. We do have a question related to what you were saying now. So I think we would bring it up because it's very relevant to now rather than later, which is Sally's asking, is it higher than PGCE?
It's different. It's different from PGCE. So PGCE is like a degree or certificate in education. Okay. And Delta is like a level 7 and it's a master's. Yeah, so
Okay.
a master's equivalent. Okay.
Okay.
PGCE again could be in any qualification. A Delta, of course, is in teaching English and
Okay.
learning about teaching English as
So we
a
do,
foreign
yes.
language.
Yeah, that's very interesting because Muhammad was asking, and he was saying, can I teach financial accounting with Salta or Delta?
Um, Well, eventually, in your specialism, yes. If you were doing a financial or accounting, and you were doing English for accountants, then yes. And again, we'll see in a minute. In module 3, you could actually make this part of your specialism. Yes, you could. But when you're doing module 1 and module 2, you'll find it's going to be like general. It will be more like general English.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So, what are the entry requirements for taking the Delta?
Okay. So there will be, as in any course, quite a rigid interview task and interview procedure. But before you start, you need to have C1 plus level of English on the Common European Framework. Okay. You need to have, we recommend 2 years of teaching experience. I think Cambridge have actually changed it to 1 year of teaching experience, and to have like a range of different levels and different types of classes. I think sort of people I've been talking to and like experienced trainers and assessors like myself, we sort of say, yeah, actually 2 years is quite a good time, at least 2 years. Okay. And the reason for that is some people, perhaps, particularly after their initial qualification, like a CELTA, they go in, they teach, and maybe they teach the same sort of classes. That's not going to really help you know about different contexts. So, for example, you could have like an intermediate class, you could have like a higher class, you could have exam classes, you could have young learners. It could all still be just in Egypt, absolutely fine. But I think we do encourage you to have a range of different experiences. And that's going to really help you thinking about, because the course is very much looking at practical things and relating the practical ideas to theory.
Okay. A lot of people ask if CELTA is a requirement to do the Delta. And I guess, I mean, you can help us with this.
Right. It's not a requirement. It is pretty useful because obviously some of the, in terms of perhaps the intensity of the course, some of the sort of like the ways of learning are very similar. Okay. However, at the interview, for example, if you have a lot of experience and you have like other qualifications in teaching English, then of course this will be considered. Yeah.
Okay. We do have a question from Muhammad. Again, I think we will leave it until the end because maybe when he hears the rest of the presentation, he will get some idea of his question. So, what does the Delta consist of?
Okay. So there are 3 modules, and again, it's incredibly practical. Like I said, it's the practice linking with the theory. Okay. You've got module 1, which is the whole thing of understanding language. I'm looking at my notes here. Language, methodology, and resources. Okay. And we'll see in a minute, this is an exam. So this is the time where it is practical, but you can also do some background reading and you can relate the theory to the practice. And you can also use your teaching experience and what you're doing in the classroom to help you with some of the ideas and the questions. Okay. So that's to do with understanding language, methodology, and resources. And that leads nicely into module 2. And module 2 is professional practice. So that's when you actually do the teaching practice. Okay. And then module 3 is extending that practice. And basically it's course design. And again, we'll see sooner or later, you have to think about a particular group of students and plan a course for them. Okay. And we'll see more in a minute. Now, basically, I think Cambridge suggests that you can do module 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
However, you can do the modules in any order that you want. And I've seen some people do module 3 first, for example, and then come back and then do module 1 and 2. In my experience, I would suggest that you do it in this order, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And I definitely think it's going to be very useful for you to do number 1 first and then number 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It makes a little bit of a sense to start with module 1 with all the readings and terminology and getting a little bit of a background research before doing the teaching, and then finally module 3. But as you said, Cambridge has not put any kind of restriction on the order. But if we're talking logically, 1 would come first and then followed by 2 or 3, or since 3 requires more and more in-depth research.
Yeah. And it's a different type of research as well, because you're actually doing course design. So it's slightly different. And again, you could take a long time doing this, right? I think some people I know have taken, like, say, 3 or 4 years to do it. They haven't done it straight away, So again, it's completely up to you how you want to do it.
Yeah.
And again, with module 3, which is, again, curriculum design, I mean, some people have done 2 module 3s because they've had different specialisms that they're interested in. So it's completely up to you how you want to do it. However, you only need to do 1, 2, and 3 once to get and to pass them to get the certificate.
Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about certificates. So basically, there is no time deadline for how many years, how many months or years or a period of time you can take between the modules.
No, there isn't. But obviously, we recommend you to do it. Don't leave it too late, because as Abeer was saying, all the good things that you've been thinking about and all the sort of knowledge that you've been thinking about, you can lease in to the next module.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna move on with the presentation, and the next question would be, what is module 1 in more detail?
Okay. So as I said, module 1 is understanding language, methodology and resources. It actually ends up being an exam. Okay, so there's a module 1 exam, and it's either in June, in the first week in June, or it's the first week in December. And basically, module 1 consists of 2 90-minute exams on the same day. Okay, and you have like a breather between them. And paper 1 is mainly more to do with like the ideas and the theory, and paper 2 is often the practical side. Okay. And everybody goes, oh wow, this sounds really, it's an exam, oh my goodness. And in fact, again, it's very practical. So things like, for example, speaking skills. What sort of functional language would you need for a particular speaking task? And it's things that we do every day in the classroom. Okay. Again, language analysis, there's an authentic text, and we have to work out and analyze the language from the text. So it's all very useful for our own practical teaching. You look at some course book materials, and then you see, like, what are the assumptions that the writer made about the materials, any problems with it. So there's also, as again, you could actually do this, and we will encourage you to try and do this while you're teaching your classes. Okay. There's also, as Abeer said, there's some terminology that you need to find out about, and again, you have to write down some definitions. You will need some reading, background reading for it, but again, it's pretty practically based. Okay. So you have, as I said, 2 exams on the same day, and again, I think you get the results in about sort of 6 weeks, 2 months time after you take the exam.
So, and they only run in June and December?
Yes.
Okay.
And you have to take it from a recognized center like IH Cairo.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
You can't take it on your own at home.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things with module 1 is not so much the knowledge, but it is a very sort of Cambridge type of thing, in that there's a certain way of answering questions, we know, right? So I think a lot of people's approach to it is obviously doing the research, but then having a lot of practice and knowing how to answer the questions, not having to have perfectly formed sentences, and you just put down the ideas as quickly as you can. So there will be a lot of exam practice as well.
And I think also, if correct me if I'm wrong, this is where the teaching experience comes into effect, is in some of the questions you may want to pull from your own teaching experience or classroom experience. I'm not sure if this is a correct information or not.
Not necessarily. That's more actually for module 2.
Okay.
However, obviously, like I said, some of the things that you're going to be doing, like looking at course books and looking at maybe a page from a course book, and it's usually like a grammar item or something like that, and saying, how would you teach it? What things would you need to know? Obviously, you do need teaching experience to be able to do that.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So how will we do module 1 in IH Cairo?
Right. So it's going to be online. It's going to be starting in February. And there will be, for I think your weekend, you will have sort of classes at the weekend in February. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I've sort of done a lot of classes with Module 1, and sort of my philosophy about it is obviously doing background reading, helping you to get some research, getting you familiar with the different papers and the different components of the papers.
Mm-hmm.
And also having sort of like mini mocks all the way through for each paper that each test, each task you have. And then, as I said, having some mocks as we go along. Also having tutorial time, so having chances like you do a mock and then we can have a chat about it, and then we can say to you, right, you really need to work on this, and how are you going to go about it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of work in South America, and I think with Module 1 particularly, people knew the information, but the problem was getting their ideas down on paper. So a lot of it for me, I think in Brazil we had 3 mock tests actually. I think we're going to have probably about 2, but just to give that confidence of being able to answer the questions in the sort of format and the time required.
Yeah, I remember you stressed about the time management when it comes to the exam. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's just, again, it's a sort of very Cambridge way of doing exams. Sort of like the first certificate, you have certain things and you have to get them down. Yeah, and it's just managing time. And again, that whole thing, we will have 2 mocks where you do the 2 90-minute papers, do it exactly the same as you would on exam day, because it really is tiring. And then there'll be a time afterwards to go back and have a reflection, and then, okay, how did you do? What could you do better with? And obviously give you support. Yeah. I think Abeer is frozen. Okay. Well, I'm going to carry on. So I can't see any of your questions. I think I'm just waiting for Abeer to come back. So Module 2. Module 2 is, as I said, is the classroom practice. Okay. I don't know if anybody can see me here. So Module 2 is you're doing the lessons. Okay. You have to do 4 essays on language skills and language systems. You have to do 2 on systems and 2 on skills. Okay. And these essays are 2,500 words each, and they inform your lessons. So from the essays and the research you've done, you then plan and deliver a lesson. Okay. So one's going to be on receptive skills, one will be on productive skills, one will be on grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, or discourse, and another one on systems. Okay. 3 of them will be internally assessed by your tutor, and one of them, the last one, will be externally assessed by a DELTA assessor from Cambridge. Okay. You have to pass the last one to pass the course. Okay. And you have to pass at least one of them internally to pass the course. So you have these 4 LSAs, we call them, language skills or systems assignments. And I think one of the best parts of it, you also have professional development assignment. And this carries on throughout the course. Before you do any teaching or assess teaching, your tutor will watch you give a lesson. And it's like a diagnostic lesson. And we'll see like the strengths that you have and all the knowledge that you have from your lesson and teaching, and also any areas that you want to work on. Okay. So you can think about your like professional development during the course, thinking about, what sort of areas do I want to work on? You can change this as you go along. And you also have to do, we should come back. I've just carried on talking.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about Module 2.
Okay.
I don't know if any questions have come up.
Yes,
And
I'll
you
be.
also have to do your professional development. This is like reflection and action. And also you have to do an experimental practice. So it could be an area that you've never, ever done before. It will be something like maybe materials free or dogme. And then you have to write an assignment. So this professional development assignment is all to do with you thinking about how you can develop. Okay. And I think it's really, really maybe very, very important part of the course. And it's the thing you can really think about which methods are the best methods for you to grow. Okay, so it could be maybe writing a journal or a diary, observing other teachers. Okay, you'll also have to observe 10 hours of experienced teachers teaching. This could be like DVD recordings. This could also be watching your peers when they do their assessed lessons. So again, we have to have 10 hours. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. You will have tutorials with your tutor, so you won't be left behind. And after each of the 3 internal assessed lessons, you will get like a report that your tutor writes, which clearly says every single like criteria, and there are quite a few criteria, as you probably know, the 5A form, many criteria, and which ones you're okay, which ones that maybe are partially met, and which ones are not met. And again, your tutor will sit with you and work out strategies for the next one. Okay. So we will have input sessions on writing the essay. We will have input sessions on language systems and also on language skills and how to teach them. Okay. And before you do each type of lesson, we will help you with it, of course, right? This is why doing module 1 first can really help you with module 2, because you've already done some of the background reading and research. Okay. As Abeer was saying before, in module 2, particularly in the assignment, you need to talk about some of the research, support your ideas with background reading, and also your classroom experience. And this is why we think it's really important to have at least 2 years of a wide range of experience of teaching. Okay. And then you can just say, yeah, I remember in this class and this group of students or this type of learner would really benefit from this activity. Again, it's incredibly practical. And we will have, like help with writing the essays, of course. They're not like master's essays. They are incredibly practical, where you link the theory that you've read with the practice.
And how I'm not sure if we've talked about this while I was frozen. The difference between the online and the face to face.
Okay. With module 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Good point. We're suggesting that we have, if it's done online, it's going to be for 8 weeks. If it's face to face, module 2 is going to be for 6 weeks. Now, the reason for this is with online, and I'll do it the other way around. With face to face, you can talk to the tutor. They're there straight away. You can get ideas from each other in the classroom. Now, with online, of course, we'll have like maybe a channel where you can talk to each other and share ideas, but you're not physically in the same room. Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why is just to give you that time to be able to absorb the ideas and also to ask for support if necessary. That's why. One of the other differences, and again, Cambridge is, we had a meeting about this, and Cambridge is really sort of trying to consider this. They are accepting online lessons. Now they say it's absolutely fine. One of the big things is, though, it takes, if you probably know, you can't get through as much online as you can in person. Okay. So your aims in an online class are going to be much smaller than perhaps they would be in an in-person class, even though you're doing 60 minutes. But Cambridge has said this is fine. The other thing as well that Cambridge are working on is to have resources, online resources for these courses. Yeah, because obviously in centres we have the book, the physical books. Yeah. Online we need to have a bank of resources. So Cambridge are working on that.
Excellent. Okay, so basically it's the same except for delivering the sessions and looking into resources. I mean, but all the other requirements are the same.
Yeah, the course is exactly the same. The criteria hasn't changed at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
the only thing I think Cambridge are thinking about doing, but they haven't done yet, is just providing, they have a gloss, like a sort of summary for
Mhm.
each criteria. The
Okay.
actual criteria are not changing, like I said, but what
Mhm.
they are suggesting is to have a gloss for online lessons.
Okay.
And some things like, managing the classroom space obviously are going to be different because it's a virtual classroom. Yeah, so they're going to just tweak and change them, but they're not going to actually change the criteria at all.
Mhm. Um, okay, what about module 3?
Okay,
What is it like?
right. So module 3 is the one where you really have to work on your own. Of course, there's guidance, but it's a 4,500 word assignment, and people go, "Oh my goodness, that's so big." Actually, it's not. And one of the problems is trying to get all the ideas that you have into this 4,500 words, and it can't be more. It has to be that number, no
Mhm.
more than that. Okay. Basically, what it is, it's course design. And there are two different strains you can do. You can either do like an ELT specialism. Okay, so something like, for example, English for academic purpose classes, English for special purposes. I think we were talking about accountancy, so perhaps
Mhm.
that could be your specialism. It could be language for teachers. It could be young learners. So again, you choose your specialism. The other branch of it is management as well. So it's like EFL management. So
Mhm.
again, that could be how to do advertising, how to do marketing. Okay, so you can actually branch into two different sections. Okay,
Okay.
and the whole thing is with the ELT specialism, you have to have a class. You don't actually have to teach them, but you have to meet this class, and you have
Okay.
to have needs analysis, and you have to do diagnostic tests, and then you design a course for this particular group of people. And again, this is really useful if you've been asked to design courses. This is a really useful thing to do.
Mhm.
However, some people like design a course for a group of students, but they actually never end up teaching it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And the course proposal's about, like, say 20, they say the minimum is 20 hours, and we recommend you only do 20 hours. So it could be a part of the course. And you also have to work out how you do the assessment. Okay. There are
Mhm.
5 parts for module 3. And again, you submit it. And what we recommend is you do each part, you send it to your tutor, they mark the draft, and at the end, then you do the whole thing, you submit to the tutor, they make any amendments, and then the tutor sends it to Cambridge. Okay.
Yeah.
This will be the end of May or the end of November, with the only dates that you can do it. You could do it any time in the year, but the
Mhm.
only time that the centre will be able to send it to Cambridge is in May and November.
Okay. Excellent. So you were talking, I mean, at the beginning, we've talked about, these are the questions we've talked about. What about the certificate? You were mentioning something about certificate, and I said maybe we can wait until the end to talk about the certificate.
So after each module you get, you'll get a certificate from Cambridge. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that you've got the complete Delta, you have to do obviously the 3 modules, and then you'll get a certificate at the end to say you've done the whole complete Delta certification.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then what grade you've got as well.
Okay. So basically, the 3 modules and module 1, the preparation for the exam is online. With module 2, there are 2 options, either online or face to face. And then with module 3, it's online.
Online, yeah.
Just to sum up how IH Cairo is planning to
Yeah. And
offer
most centres in the world do modules 1 and 3 online.
online. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have a question. It says, how is the MA TESOL or MA Applied Linguistics for language teaching different from the Delta?
Great, good question.
Mhm.
I think it does depend on which centre you go to. Okay. Traditionally, though, and I know that a lot of MAs do have, components with MA TESOL, for example, you can go and actually teach.
Mm-hmm.
However, this is much, Delta is more practical. Yeah,
Okay.
like I said before, you're matching the theory, same theory with the practice all the way through. Yeah, so I think it is much more practical, and a lot of people who have done MAs do the Delta. Excuse me, and sometimes they do find it quite hard to write the essays because, like I said, the essays are actually quite practical.
Mm-hmm.
And they've said, wow, I've been learning many more techniques, and I've been able to put it into practice much more on the Delta than in the MA. Of course, it does depend on the MA. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, linguistics is a different story. That is much more theoretical.
Yeah.
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 And again,
Okay.
it does depend on the center where you do it, but this is usually the difference. Yeah.
The difference. Yeah. So we have a question. What if I failed one of my LSA's assignment in module 2?
Yes. Very good question. And in fact, that often happens with the first one. Okay. Because you've never had to teach or you've never had to do these essays in that way. So, for example, you'll get a grade for your essay and you'll get a grade for your lesson, and you have to pass both of them.
Okay.
If, for example, you got like a merit in your essay and a pass in your lesson, the overall grade would be a pass because the lesson always outweighs the essay, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it's a very new way of doing things, and usually what I try and do with a pre-course task is get people to write an essay just to see what it's like. And then in the input sessions, we can unpack it and say, like, okay, how was it? What do you need? How are you going to improve these particular areas?
Okay.
So often people do find it hard to do particularly the essay. And often for LSA 1, the lesson, they have to plan in a lot of depth, which they're not used to. And it does happen that people don't pass. However, there's always, this is the good part. So you need to pass one systems LSA, and you need to pass one skills LSA.
Okay.
And one of them has to be LSA 4. Okay. So for example,
which is assessed one.
Which is they're all assessed, but this is externally assessed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, for example, I know people who have not passed 2 of them, but passed the third one, and they've passed the external one, LSA 3 and LSA 4, and they've passed the course. Okay. So it's basically, and I think this is what sometimes people find hard, it's a continuous assessment in a way. It's a continual progress, and you get better and better at it. So you, as I said, you have to pass one systems and one skills. That's it. So you could not pass 2 of them.
Okay, that's
I hope
good.
that answers the question.
Because a lot of I think a lot of the trainees worry once they fail one of their assignments and they feel it's the end of their Delta module 2, and they worry about the assessor coming and finding in their portfolio that they have not passed, when it is only a learning experience for them to look into the action points and to work on the other assignments based on these.
It is slightly different because basically the assessor for LSA 4 only sees an external assessor. You don't know them. They don't talk to you. They maybe say hello and that's it, right? It's very strange. They only look at that lesson. Only. They don't look at your portfolio, nothing. Your tutors, though, have your portfolio, LSA 1, 2, and 3. They write a report at the end, which they send to Cambridge, and then Cambridge sees the internal report, your tutor's report, and then they see the external assessor's report for LSA 4, and they match the 2.
Okay.
And then Cambridge are the ones that give the grades. Normally, the grade that the centre gives is usually, or the grade that the assessor gives is usually the one, but it depends, yeah? So that's how it works. And I think you're right, that whole idea of thinking, oh, if I don't pass, it's terrible. And we don't expect you to pass, but it's a different way of looking at things. So if you don't pass the first one, then it's just how to improve for the next one.
Okay. Yeah.
It is different, and of course it's a
Yeah.
bit disappointing, and it's a bit sad when you think I've been teaching for all these years and I can't do this. But it's just having to rethink it and think of an easier way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Often people don't pass because they try and plan too much, or
Yeah.
perhaps the subject in their essay is too big. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, obviously after your LSAs, then you have a tutorial with your tutor, and they
Mm-hmm.
go through and think about ways that you can improve and the best steps for you.
Yeah. Okay, so let me share my screen one more time just to show the calendar for the Delta, just to make sure that everyone knows where we stand as IH Cairo. So February is the start of Module 1 preparation course online. We have the start of Module 2 online in May. There is an exam for Module 1 in June.
Yeah,
Please
that's
correct me.
the online one. Yeah.
Yeah, the online. Yeah, for May it's yeah. I'm just recapping. So please correct me, Jane, if I mess up with dates. Okay. And then towards the end of August is the face-to-face module 2 in Cairo, in IH Cairo. Um, why am I having October? Is October a significant month, Jane?
I don't
Do
think so.
I assessment? Is it
I
the
think
assessment? If you're doing the face-to-face, you get assessed. I mean, if you're doing the online in May for module 2, when do we get assessed by the external assessor?
okay.
Around
So it's interesting the dates. In fact, maybe we can go back to module 1. So if you did module 1 in February, as I
mhm,
said, you take your exam in June. Okay.
very good. Yeah.
And then you'd get the results. It usually comes out probably in August. Okay.
Okay.
If you did the module 2 online and you start in May and you finish in June, then
Okay.
you'd probably get the results. Again, we have to put in the results at the beginning of June. So you'd get the
Okay.
results probably in October.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe that's why I'm having October as colored one.
Yeah. If you did
Okay.
the online, the face-to-face one in August,
Mm-hmm.
again, one of the entry dates would be in September. So again, you'd get the results in October, November.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect.
With
Okay.
module 3, it's confusing, right?
Yeah.
Module 3, if you started right from the beginning, then you could, in February, then you could put in your assignment in end of May and get the results in June. Or you might want to put it in the end of November and get the results in
Later
November.
on.
Okay.
In later November. Yeah.
So basically, two entry dates for module 1, June, December.
Very good.
3 entry dates for module 2, June, September, and December.
Okay.
If
Very
that
good.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense. And we're going to be having these I mean, we're going to have this calendar color coded on our website. So
Yeah.
someone is asking, how can I get enrolled? You will have to send an email to teachertraining@ihcairo.com, and then someone will get back to you with the application and all the dates for applying.
And there'll be
Okay.
again,
Yeah,
it's the same as any course, but you'll have like the application. We'll look at the application form, like we'll invite you for an interview if we think that you meet the requirements, which I'm sure you will. And then again, it's going to be quite an in-depth interview. Okay.
yeah.
If you get accepted, then you'll have like a pre-interview task. And again, for module 2, like I said, I'm going to ask people to actually write an essay. Yeah. To obviously, I'll give examples and you can write the essay. It's just to get you used to what you need to do.
Okay. So we're back to Muhammad's question. He asked first about, can I teach financial accounting with CELTA or DELTA? You've already answered his question, but he also had another question saying, so do I go for a DELTA or TOT course for teaching financial accounting? Which means, which one would fit more in teaching financial accounting? I guess uh, Muhammad and people who are teaching other subject matters other than English are interested to know which one would fit better for them.
Okay. And I think, again, it depends on what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
If you only want to stay with teaching financial English, great, and maybe, again, find out more about that course. I'm
Mm-hmm.
afraid I don't know that much about it.
Mm-hmm.
However, with if you want to have, perhaps you want to do this, and maybe you want to branch out late, and you want to maybe do a different ways of teaching, and you want again to sort of like think about different techniques and different ideas in your lessons. You could be teaching these types of students.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. You could also be teaching young learners. A lot of people I've been observing are teaching perhaps like students at university. Absolutely fine. And then again, you could do module 3 and do that as your specialism area. Fine. But along the way, you'd also find out about other courses too. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think perhaps it's a little bit broader. So again, if you wanted to change later on, you could.
Okay.
And again, it's like any course, it's got all the basic techniques, and it's like for you to find out about different techniques, resources, ideas. And it's very exciting.
Okay. Okay, so let's see if we have more questions coming up. So I'm checking. Okay, let's see. Okay, we've answered that question on the applied linguistics. Okay, so again, the email for applying is teachertraining@ihcairoeg.com. We're going to be we're going to be posting it once we end this live, we're going to be having it in the chat box for those who are interested to apply. Any other questions? Let's see from the people attending. Other questions we've got. Okay, we've answered this question. Okay. I don't have any other questions, Jane. Do you have anything final say to tell anyone who's watching or will be watching this video for IH Cairo?
Yeah, well, obviously, I think it's a really good course. I mean, I think one of the things I think is really interesting about it is, I think, things that we learnt on the CELTA, like, perhaps some centres are quite prescriptive that you have to do it this way. In fact, on the DELTA, you're thinking about the students you have in front of you, and I really like it because you have to think about what's the best for them. You can change your plan during the lesson if you're responding to their needs.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, it's much more useful for you as a teacher, an everyday teacher, because you're always thinking about the people that you've got and also how to achieve the aims as quickly as possible. So I think it doesn't, all the things perhaps we've learned, it does make you question everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I just find that fascinating.
I'm sure it's a different kind of experience. And
It is hard work. No qualms about it. No, it is, particularly like doing it intensively, for sure, right? And
mm-hmm.
that's why we try and give you support before and support all the way through. Having said that, when you get to LSA 4 for module 2, then the tutor can't give you any help, right? I think they can just like check your essay title and check your lesson names, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to make you more and more independent. At the beginning, though, we can give you help, of course. Yeah.
Well,
it just makes you discover different things and maybe books that you wouldn't normally read, mm-hmm. and you can specialize into certain techniques that you wouldn't normally know about. So it's interesting.
It is. And I mean, knowing you, I know that they are going to get all the kind of support they will be. Yeah. So
yeah, and I always learn from other people as well. I sort of steal lots of ideas from everybody.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, Jane, for today. And I've already posted on all the channels the email. Any interested candidate, please email us. And if there is any question that is related to Jane, we will always send it to her, and we will come back to you and give you some feedback on your answers. Thank you very much, Jane.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everybody.
And you too. Merry Christmas, and we wish you a very happy New Year.
Oh yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, thank you. Stay safe.
Okay, bye.
Bye.